Hateful enemy. After that discussion, let's see. Rain. As the sunlight turned orange, rain clouds suddenly appeared from the western edge of the sky. The sky quickly took on a cloudy look as the gray spread out as if eroding. Listening to the sound of the rain as it began to drizzle, I stopped working on my needlework. At this rate, he'll probably be returned before I finish. Or return before I finish. I patted the military uniform on top of my knee and rechecked my progress. The other day, Suren asked me to fix a frayed part of it. Seriously, what's he doing to have it be frayed this much? I said, amazed, and continued my needlework. As I sewed in earnest, a single tree leaf blown in by the wind fell on top of the fabric. I stopped my needlework in a haste to remove it as I don't want it to soil the fabric. Just what I have to do as a wife. I bite my lip as I make an excuse to myself. I really do look like a good wife now, don't I? This used to frustrate and anger me, but somehow my fiery anger has been extinguished. I remember the look on Suren's face when I took this on. I was reluctant to accept it, but he looked so happy. The complaint I had been forming in my mouth became heavy. Honestly, let's just finish this without thinking unnecessary things and go to bed. And I have to go see how everyone is doing tomorrow. I suddenly wonder if that really makes sense. Compared to when we were first kidnapped, everyone is a lot calmer now. Haru is the only woman to have gotten married, but lately I'm hearing talk about other women getting engaged. It's still only been half a year. Half a year, though. You know, I'm actually impressed because when we first got here, it was like 3 days, and the ladies were like, "Oh, you Nasla man!" But it's been like 6 months, and only Haru and Naala are actually married, so I'm low-key impressed. The ability for people to adapt is truly terrifying. In just a few months, everyone seems to have adjusted to life in Nasla. Of course, there are still those who are showing a strong sense of resistance, but even those girls seem to be in better spirits than before. Maybe this is something to be happy about. A person who has been driven to the edge can't survive without changing their mentality. I mean, there is certainly something to be said for that. You have to either adapt to the circumstances or face the consequences of trying to escape, right? You can't just, like, hold out and resist for years and years and years. I mean, maybe somebody could, but for most people, probably one or the other has to happen. You don't have a choice anymore. Give up and find a new path. Survival instinct takes over and you change the way you think. Yeah, that's certainly true. Auri, if you don't hurry up, everyone is going to... I envisioned the face of my distant childhood friend on my closed eyelids. The man, my reliable brother, is on the other side of the great river. Even though it was my decision to say farewell to him during the war, I suddenly felt lonely. I heard that in Rus, opinions are slowly starting to turn towards rescue. After I gained the ability to move about freely, I gathered information by myself and exchanged information with others. Putting everything together, gradually the situation inside of Rus became more clear. Apparently, they've begun to make serious moves towards a rescue, thanks to Auri's persuasion. This information came from merchants, so I don't know how reliable it is. But I do think it's a ray of light. But I have to wonder how many are left who desire that ray of light. I sigh when I think about it. The reason why I feel such a sense of crisis is probably because I've come to adapt to being here. I hated Suren so much, and now... Oof. Not gonna lie, I think indifference is actually worse than hate, because you don't have any emotion to give. Like, when you hate somebody, there's, like, still an emotional component involved. But when you're indifferent, there's nothing there. So, probably the top one. Suren is as bossy as ever, but I feel like his feelings have changed since that incident with the escaped beast. At the very least, he's come to listen to my requests. Regardless of whether or not he's actually accepted me, if he's listening to me, I'm happy that he's acknowledged my existence as a person. Now that it's no longer a one-way street, we can understand the subtleties of each other's emotions better than before, which makes me feel relieved. I don't hate this. As I verbalized this, I unconsciously put a lot of pressure on my hand and the needlepoint pricked my finger. My face distorted at the slight pain, and I licked the small bead of blood. Awful. I no longer think of enemies as enemies. Roos hasn't done anything. I hate everything. I want to throw something. Oh no. Naran, get out of the way.
Did something terrible happen?
Naran.
Sorry, I knocked on the door, but you didn't answer.
Apologizing for the rudeness of entering without permission, Naran looked at the door. Ah, I was just thinking about things. I was so lost in thought that I didn't notice the sound. With a bitter smile, I looked down at the military uniform, which was in the process of being repaired.
Who's Auri?
Huh? I panicked, as I wasn't expected to be asked about Auri. How long had he been watching me? I have to play it off somehow. You misheard me. Anyway, have you eaten yet?
You could have just said it was your brother. You didn't have to be like, nothing.
Although, like, if anybody in the know, like Noel had heard, I mean, Noel already knows she was the fiancé of Auri, but other people could put together the pieces that she was Auri's fiancé, the king of Roos. That could be a bit of a sticky subject. So I can understand why she's still like, let me just play that off a bit.
Nope. There's no way I could eat before you, missus.
In that case, shall we eat together?
With me?
Naran looks so surprised that I'm worried that I've said something wrong. When I was staring anxiously, Naran with a bitter smile approached me and kneeled in front of me. He must have adjusted his eye level so that he wouldn't look down at me as I was sitting on the floor. The small consideration warmed my heart.
Missus, you mustn't say such things to anyone other than your husband.
Why?
A married woman should not share a meal with another man in the absence of her husband.
Ah, speaking of. When I came here, Suren was very insistent that we eat together. There really are a lot of troublesome customs in Nasla. But it's fine. Suren won't complain if it's you. I expected him to smile back, but Naran looked away with an expression that didn't betray what he was thinking. This isn't like him. Worried, I tried to peek at his face, but his eyes slowly twinkled as he turned toward me.
Oh god. No! No! Stop! Bad. Bad. You guys need to chill. Oh, Lord. Can't. Oh.
I'm fine. We're gonna move through this again.
Brrr. Pet me, missus.
Huh? I am surprised at the sudden request. Naran smiled with a faint bitter smile and added words.
Hey, I'm just a kid, so I feel relieved when you pet me.
With that said, his long eyelashes tend to tremble when he looks down. Something close to a maternal instinct is stimulated in me, and I can't help but to reach out towards him. Is there something wrong?
No. It just makes me happy.
Really?
Yeah. But lately, that happiness hurts my heart.
Then there is something wrong.
Perhaps.
Can't you just ignore it?
I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I know it's something that can't be, but I can't just walk away.
Really? That's very difficult. Naran's story is sad because it overlaps with my own situation, where I question my role but still can't leave. I continued to stroke his head as he spoke, and suddenly Naran's hand reached out and touched the military uniform on my lap.
lately, you're not afraid of Bro anymore.
I was never afraid of him.
That's a lie. You used to be so nervous in front of him. But now, how do I say? Even more than when you're with me.
The hand that had been stroking the clothes tensed up. The military uniform in his grip was wrinkled and misshapenly distorted.
I feel like you've become more like a married couple.
That's not true at all.
It is. As your bodies get closer together, so do your hearts.
That's... Depending on how you look at it, that could be taken as sarcasm. I was at a loss with this topic that was difficult to answer, so I raised my eyebrows and tilted my head. Naran saw my reaction and pulled his hand away.
I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little tired. I'm just happy that you and Bro are becoming more like a married couple, and I'm really sorry for saying weird things.
It's okay. You've been really busy lately. Why don't you just focus on helping Suren for a while and not come to me?
No way!
Naran?
I'm fine. I might not look it, but physically I'm stupid strong.
Yeah? Well, don't push yourself too hard.
Yeah. Right. Shall I get dinner started?
Yeah, but I haven't finished my needlework yet, so I'll eat here. Naran, you'll be eating alone after all. Naran looked out the window as I tried to invite him. After a while, he muttered to himself. Uh-oh, scandalous.
Then maybe I'll eat here too.
Are you sure?
If you don't mind.
Then this will be our little secret.
Of course. Bro would murder me if he found out.
That's not the case. I feel like he'd forgive you for anything. Naran's offer made me genuinely happy, as I had been having tasteless dinners alone for the past few days. Yeah, when I'm with Naran. Okay, Naran, moment of truth for you. Don't get an up when I press this button, or so help me, we will have problems later in life. Okay. Whew. I'm like, he better not have a brother kink, I swear. We're good. We're fine. Things are looking up. It really is like having a younger brother. With Naran, who feels like a younger brother, I have fun meals like how I did in Roos. Then, please, prepare the meal. I was about to sit up when I heard the sound of hurried footsteps running off towards the front door. Naran and I look at each other to see what's going on.
I'm gonna go check it out. Please wait here.
Yeah, okay. There shouldn't be anything dangerous inside of the mansion, but the story I heard the other day regarding the beast's escape incident comes to mind. Suren is so well liked that some people want him to be king. That's why some people think his presence is a hindrance. We can't be careless now, not knowing what's out there. Nodding honestly, Naran ran out of the room. An eerie silence falls and tension builds. I wonder what happened. Unable to control my anxiety, I wander around the room. And so, after a few laps around the room, the sound of hurried footsteps approached.
Mrs.
Naran returns, his shoulders heavy with his breathing as he stops in front of me. What happened?
Bro fell off a cliff. It seems his life isn't in danger, but his injuries are severe.
What? The moment I heard it, the blood drained from my face. I'm even more upset at myself for being shocked like that. The words Suren fell and the question, why are you upset, whirled around in my head. The thoughts swirling in my head paralyzed me as my feet began to move first. I have to go see Suren!
No, you can't!
Naran? He grabbed me by the wrist and stopped me as I started to run. Turning around in confusion, Naran was at a loss for words for a moment and looked down in pain.
Bro is already sleeping, so I think tomorrow would be better. and he'd be worried if you went.
But... I mean, Naran, I'm sorry. I'm not having dinner with you tonight. You're gonna have to wait, okay? I have to go see him. Suren, at any rate, is my husband.
But bro is...
Naran, go see Ruzi and get some herbs to ease his pain. While making my request, my body had already started running.
Missus!
This is the second time I've ran off to see Suren with Naran's voice at my back. Chuckling at the strange coincidence, I ran down the corridor. I'm coming in. Stepping into the room, immediately my eyes met with Suren's, who was lying on the bed. The bandages wrapped around both his legs looked painful. As I approached, Suren lifted only the top of his neck. Hey, you. What's this falling off of cliffs business, You dummy? Look at you. You look like you got broken ribs and things.
Hey, did you come to see if I died?
Kneeling at his bedside, I glare at him with half-open eyes. By the looks of it, I won't be a widow for quite some time. Returning his sarcasm with sarcasm, a wry smile crossed Suren's lips. Given that he doesn't even sit up, he must be pretty weak. How bad are your injuries?
It's just a foot sprain. I'll be back to work in a few days.
Foot sprain? What is this? Is this your armor? Are you lying down in bed with armor? I thought you had bandages around your ribs, sir. Foot sprain. Back to work. I traced the bandaged legs with my eyes, as if to say, in this condition? While it doesn't seem to be life-threatening, these injuries aren't light enough to be back to work in a few days.
Are you worried about me?
I wonder about that. A hand reaches out and touches my cheek in a teasing tone. When he saw that I didn't avoid him, he now stroked me with the back of his finger. Gently, the feeling of it slipping away like a feather makes my heart tremble. I closed my eyes before I knew it, as it was repeated over and over again.
You're not repulsed by this today.
Because you're injured.
I guess being hurt does have its advantages.
Don't be ridiculous. Why were you at the cliffs on a rainy day? It wasn't for work, was it?
It was for work.
That's a lie. If it was work, you would have said so immediately.
I don't really care about that.
He sighs as he turns in the opposite direction. She's got a read on him. When I dropped my shoulders and looked down, there was something strange at the edge of my field of vision. There's something sticking out from the bed. A place where I don't normally look at. It's round and covered with a hard skin. Why is that fruit here? I pull it closer, softly so that Suren, who is looking the other way, doesn't notice it. There's no doubt. These are the fruits that I like, that are often on the meal table. You broke your ankle Don't you have people for this, Suren? Naran used to squish them into liquid meals for me when I didn't have an appetite. I believe it's a rare fruit that grows naturally along the steep Nasla cliffs. Cliffs! My fingertips, as they touched the skin, were slightly damp and muddy. The fruits were soiled, as if they'd been outside not too long ago. The reason, now right in front of me, pierced my heart. Suren was picking these? Now I know why Suren went to the cliffs. I wonder if Naran knew about this. How could he not, being the one who prepared them? Did he think I'd stop eating if I knew? A small question came to mind, but in face of the reality that I discovered, it disappeared somewhere. But why?
That's...
Suren turned around at my quivering voice. Upon seeing what I had, he turned to the ceiling with a bitter look on his face. You ridicule women so much, but then you go and do this. Despite asking him, he didn't respond for a while. Only the sound of the heavy rain filled the room. After I waited patiently, I heard a muttering voice as if talking to himself after a long sigh.
Once, I picked up an injured wildcat.
Wildcat? He did call her a wildcat way back when. It was so abrupt I thought I'd been sidetracked. As I tilted my head and waited for more, Suren chuckled and spoke.
It's a wild animal. It's still very wary, and wouldn't eat anything I gave it. I tried a couple of things, and I thought it wouldn't eat while I was around, so I left it for a day. And when I went to check on it the next day, it had gone cold without ever having eaten anything.
Is that why you've been watching me every time we eat?
You've been comparing her to, like, this pet wildcat you had for however long ago. Like, last time, this cute thing, like, died on me, so now I gotta make sure this new cute thing doesn't die on me. That's so dumb, but also so wholesome. Go on.
It'd be a pain in the ass if you died.
Am I a wildcat? Plunging into my chest, I let out a hefty sigh. I should have been amazed, but what came out was a murky voice.
Aw, she's crying.
I hate you. You know? I really, really hate you.
Yeah, I know.
He strokes my cheek again, and my tear ducts relax all at once. The tears that had been floating in the corners of my eyes were pushed out and spilled out in ragged drops.
Hey, don't cry.
I hate you. I hate you. I really hate you. I was suffering because I didn't know what these emotions were that I couldn't control. My heart aches so much that I have to weave words of rejection or I'll lose my mind.
Well, yeah. To you, I'm your hated enemy.
Yes, that's exactly what it should be. And yet my tongue wouldn't move. As I tried to affirm, a lot of tears came overflowing out. The salty taste in my mouth spreads in my mouth and makes me feel sadder. Something that I had been protecting as the royal sister of Roos was soundly falling apart. I could feel it, but I couldn't stop it. What I said through sobs were words I thought I'd never say.
Don't you ever do this again.
I continued to sob while not knowing why I was crying. Suren's large hand wiped my tears away from my cheek.
You can hate me if you want, but just show me your smile.
Huh?
Smile.
Giving me orders even at a time like this. He really is an awful man. His terrible, pompous, ugly kindness envelops my heart. What a great... This is actually the best description of Suren so far, is terrible, pompous, ugly kindness. Perfect. Just print that underneath his face. We did it.
Once I realized this, I can't look away from the straight and overly deep feelings. I hate it. I really do hate it. I hate that I can't deny these feelings of inclination. No, I'm not gonna follow your orders. I said that, but my face, wet from tears, smiled.
Aww. That was nice. That was a nice scene. They're both dumb. Suren is the biggest dummy of all. But I think they are actually getting an understanding of each other, which is nice.
Despite the fact we almost cheated on him by having dinner with Naran. But we're not going to talk about that right now. It's fine. A few days later, as he declared, well, almost anyway, but Suren was able to walk indoors, showing amazing resilience. However, he had to do it with support, which must have been quite grating for him.
Oh, I need a drink.
So on this particular night, he was rolling around on the bed like a spoiled child. I looked at him sideways while cleaning up the meal. You can have a little.
Really? But you're always saying I can't because Ruzi says it's bad for me. Could he be taking out his revenge on me?
I wouldn't be so petty. He did say that if we're able to reduce the amount of medicine, then a little would be okay.
In that case, bring it at once.
Yeah. I called for the servant, who had been waiting outside in the corridor, and received the alcohol that he'd prepared. I quickly returned to the side of the bed, and Suren had an unusually deflated face.
That was really fast. Did you have that prepared beforehand?
Knowing you, I figured you were just about at your limits. You just thought you've become more wifely, didn't you?
No, that wasn't what I was thinking.
He tends to hide his true feelings. We've been together for a few days now as I've been nursing him, so we're getting to know each other better than ever before. After considering things, I feel like Suren has a tendency to be reluctant to speak his true feelings. Ya think? Oftentimes, the words, because I'm your husband, or because you're my wife, have more meaning than I'd expect. Why doesn't he just speak his mind? He's kind of childish in this way. What is it now?
I realize it's late to ask this now, but why are you taking care of me?
Being asked with such a serious face, I'm at a loss for words. Even if asked, I can't really answer since I don't know myself. I'm sure my conscience must be blaming me, as I can't just leave him be since it's my fault he got hurt. That's all it is. I'm just being kind to the injured. I blew it off properly and prepared the alcohol. From the side, I could feel a gaze that wanted to say something, but I passed it off as if I didn't notice. He's probably in his inner thoughts.
You know, she can't just speak her mind. I don't understand why she can't just say things. She's kind of childish in that respect.
Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. Sheesh. I wonder if I put the tray here if it won't spill. While I was looking for a place to put it on the bed, Suren got up with a distorted face. The hand I reach out with for support is grabbed and pulled in. I almost dropped the tray I was holding with one hand, and when I tried to protest...
Give it to me.
I shrugged as he was pompously giving orders again. I'll pour it for you. Since he was injured, that was what I had intended to do from the start. But Suren raised his eyebrows in disapproval and looked as if to say, that's not what I meant. Oh. No, we're not doing this again. Oh god. Although, I gotta say, in all the years of my visual novel dating sim experiences, I've never played where the girl fed the guy liquid from her mouth. This would be a first. So, I don't entirely hate it, just because it's a new experience. We'll have to see. Jury's out until I see if this actually plays out.
I fed you when you were weak.
Huh? I recall my memories. As I recall when he made me drink by mouth to mouth, my face became hot. Oh, you did that on your own!
Oh, my stomach hurts. I can't hold the cup with such weak hands.
Gah.
You're kind to the injured, aren't you?
Suren looks at me as a grin forms across his mouth. Why did I say that? I want to curse myself for what I said a little while ago. Did you know that there are limits to kindness?
Kindness isn't so stingy.
When Suren persists like this, he doesn't listen to any protests. He goes on and on until he gets his way. Having learned from the past few days, I sighed deeply and held up the liquor bottle. I doubt this would taste good mouth to mouth.
Won't know until we try.
Then stop looking at me like that.
Looking at you like what?
He knows, but he dares to ask, so he really does have a wicked personality. Perverted eyes. You're only drinking alcohol. Why do you have to look at me like that? Mysterious and glossy eyes traced my lips. Struck by his provocative look, my body temperature rose.
That's just your imagination. Or are you so scared of me that you can't even help me to drink?
I'm not scared.
Oh? Then show me the proof of that.
Even a cheap provocation was enough to build momentum. I drink the alcohol, contain the content, and take Suren's face into my hands as I put my mouth onto his. It was deep as not to spill the content, and our lips were hot, soft, and comfortable enough to make me forget why I was doing this. After pouring the alcohol in, I tried to separate, but he held me by the back of my head. I slapped his chest to rebuke him, and he deepened the kiss, suffocating me. I thought your hands were too weak to hold the cup.
Catching you is easier than holding a cup.
My palate is pushed up with his tongue and licked with a strength that takes away my inner mucous membrane. Oh my! I don't know. I think we need to get Ruzy in here to take a look at that. Perhaps because it's been so long, I'm sensitive to any stimulation anywhere, and my shoulders trembled a little.
You're trembling. You're scared of me.
He knows that I'm not trembling out of fear. He's teasing me. I bit his tongue, hating the wickedness of it.
Oh!
You got what you wanted. Now it's time for you to sleep. Ah! When I try to stand up, he pulls my arm and lays me on the bed. When I glared at him with half-open eyes, a happy Suren was looking down at me from above. You promised you wouldn't overdo it.
I don't ever remember promising that.
If you try to have me now, I'll put black beans into your meal every day. When did I realize that Suren couldn't eat black beans? When I'd mixed some black beans I'd gotten from Haru before into his meal, his face took on an awful disposition. You know what? I can't blame him for that. It was a scare tactic I came up with on the spur of the moment, but it seemed to have an immediate effect. A reluctant look came over Suren's face as he clicked his tongue and collapsed beside me. He's like, I really hate black beans.
Oh, that pisses me off. I'm really gonna go all out on you once I'm better.
Yeah.
One yes would be plenty.
Yes.
You...
He seems to be very frustrated that he'd lost to black beans. He complained for a while, as if speaking a curse. I was listening to it lightheartedly, then his voice stopped suddenly. I turned my head to look, and my heart skipped a beat. There was an unexpectedly serious look in Suren's eyes. Uh-oh.
You love me, don't you?
What are you talking about? The teasing voice trembled. The question was so abrupt that I was unprepared for it. You idiot, as if... The word love pierced deep into my unprotected chest. That was a word that should never be given form internally.
You love me, yeah?
Those piercing words melt into flesh and blood, making them irretrievable. The realization that I didn't want to admit ran through my whole body. It's hot, it's painful, and tears are smudged in the corners of my eyes. I don't love you. I don't love you. I turned my back and repeated myself, and then strong arms reached out and hugged me. The lips pressed against the nape of my neck were hot and made me want to cry even more. I don't love...
Really?
Perhaps because my vision was blurred by tears, I could see the tattoos on his sallow skin swaying. Dancing in the wax light, it was extremely fascinating and beautiful. It was a powerful pattern, like a representation of Suren himself. It's beautiful. I love these.
Hmm? Oh, they're symbols of protection that symbolizes the war spirit.
I love them. I muttered and traced over the pattern with my finger. Suren didn't say a word, listening intently to my words. Love. I sealed away the curse of betrayal in that drawn-on pattern.